And that's why Carter Bus Company and bus drivers and Chatham and so many other places are in so much trouble. My heart could stop any second now. Let's look at my lungs. They're kept going by a needle in a haystack. That's why they're saying stop. But even the federal government is so certain, no matter what you guys do throughout this court case, that doesn't mean you do it and test God, that He's going to keep my heart and my lungs going. And so am I. That's called faith. Anyway, this court case is satanic. You honk, you wake me up, you scream, you don't let the lift down on the bus, you do what you do at Chatham for you go speak to my husband and his friends. They're angry. They tested me last night. They're kind of angry. It's not like that all along. They're still chugging, but they're still angry. I need the drug, and it's going to start tonight. For a very, very long time, with you guys trying to shut it off, and the drugs, and everything y'all did with this, and everything, and everything, and everything, my heart is kept going, basically by a needle in a haystack, in my lungs. They could shut off any minute now. Do you realize how hard, because of a joke of the court case, largest fraud case and largest hate crime in history, having to carry this big bag, making me lose all my stuff, making me sleep on a bench, making me sleep out in the cold for what's it been, a year, 2 years? Longer than that. They just said, oh yeah, my van. But on this bench, like, not even like in a van, without any heat and not even starting. A very, very long time, year round, over the largest fraud case and largest hate crime. There's New York. My heart could stop very, very quickly. That's one reason state of New York is here. Here in Tennessee. I just saw one of the cars. My heart and my lungs, especially my heart, could stop. And y'all think me sleeping on this bench, and all the honking of your horns, and one horn was extremely loud, and they know how my heart beats because of the chip, and placed in other areas of my body, so they know everything goes on within my body. It is kept going, basically by a needle in a haystack. That's how, that's how it's basically kept going. They'll talk about it. It could stop any second now. So are you doing okay? You okay? It's all a joke of the court case. Because years ago, 3 years ago, my heart stopped because I was electrocuted. When I came back to life, because the chip in my brain raised my thoughts. Whether you believe it or not, police departments tested me. Like whenever I looked at Little Debbie sign, they talked about the sunglasses on Little Debbie. I think the sunglasses are kind of weird on, Little Debbie. And trying to put modern looking clothes on Little Debbie, I think that's a little weird. I personally like her in her traditional, old Little Debbie clothes. Little Debbie. But, because Little Debbie is in this area. And so there's a poster on the road signs. So, yeah. And other things. And, they know my thoughts without me even saying it. And, I came back to life after 5 hours of y'all not wanting me to be resuscitated to test God. Because my heart has stopped other times, but that was the most. And Officer Norton, he was the first one that talked to me. He said, why do you think you came back? And apparently I said, Jesus told me he wasn't done with me and to come back. And, I said some other stuff, and one thing I said was, God said I'll be okay. So a joke of the court case is for everybody to say, are you okay? This court case is satanic. Until you know the meaning behind a lot of the puns in this court case. Largest hate crime, largest fraud case in history. Think about what are you okay means. It's a joke of the court case. It's in other words, we hope you're not okay. Because we don't believe. Well, me believing in the thoughts through my earbuds and trying to change my thoughts and wanting me to curse and wanting me to do this and wanting me to do that, it really has not affected my personality. You can't change somebody's personality through telling them to do stuff. I'm legally brain dead. My heart should. It was totally medically, after being electrocuted like I was, and I was conscious the whole time I was electrocuted. I was actually conscious as I was dying because I peed for 30 minutes. They say I was actually over 30 minutes, but it was about 30 minutes. I pissed all over myself because I lost all my bodily functions. I was totally saturated in urine, totally, and I had no control, and I eventually just passed out, and I thought I fell asleep. I didn't know what happened, but the whole time I was being electrocuted, they were also playing other games, and I was in my earbuds and they're being electrocuted, and I'll talk about this. And it really happened. And sometimes I look back at it, and it almost is like a horror movie that I was actually in. And that's basically what it was, but it was real. And it wasn't the first time. But as I was electrocuted, well, one thing that the court case, this could actually put me into a stroke, that honk that guy did, I can feel it under my armpits. Police department said, that's not good. They're pulling that Jeep over, that honk's real loud. I wouldn't do that. They tested me last night, and they're not happy with basically my EKG that they did and monitoring my I have some of the best scientists like Mary Beth on the court case, and some of the other doctors. It is medically impossible that I'm alive. So before you say, are you okay? It's also another joke of the court case because of that. When I was electrocuted and I came back, and the court case is mad about faith. This is the largest lawsuit in history that's changing laws in Congress. And faith has kept me alive. I have been lied to. I have been threatened. I was threatened on a daily basis. I have been shot at. Postpartum doesn't even know how I didn't get shot. In my sleep. They had to keep me asleep during it. In my sleep I was shot. And I laid down knowing I would be shot. I ran from a guy one day as he was following me. And I took my own little detour. And that little detour helped the police department on that walk. And I didn't know that he was following me with a gun. I just was told run. Because they couldn't tell me that he had a gun, that he wanted to shoot me. They just said run. And I ran. I walked real fast. I had stuff with me, so I couldn't really run, and my heart and my lungs, so I had to walk real fast. I couldn't even run from him. He was chasing me. A lot of things in this court case that they've had to do. But don't say, are you okay, again. Because it means, I hope you're not okay. And it's a joke that's not too funny in the court case. They have some things to say. And also, what y'all don't realize is the police department tells me this all the time. What I basically have to do to keep myself alive And a lot of people and a lot of doctors are kind of puzzled about this because I wanted to get back to my kids so bad. Without any drugs, I basically have to relax my heart myself. It's almost like meditation. With everything that's gone on and living like I'm living, and cars come by and honk and do things, and the police department's had to pull them over and so forth, then it's going to get worse here lately if you bother me. I feel it again. But I basically have to calm my own heart down, and it wasn't the police department that did that. I basically calm my heart down myself. They don't know how to do it. I have had to, because of the drugs and everything I've done, I've had a lot of seizures in my body, and I've had to calm the seizures down myself. And actually, when you're having really bad seizures, like in your brain, I've had a whole bunch in my brain where I should actually be paralyzed from all the seizures, especially in my brain. That's totally medically impossible that I'm alive. What I learned, and they realized I could do it, bring the seizure out of your brain or your face. I've had them in my face and even my eyeballs, and to your nose and to your lips, and you pull the seizure out. It's really hard to do. I started doing it after I was electrocuted. I started to go into, my body went into shock, and because the police department and the hospital couldn't treat me at all, I had to pull the seizures, because my body went into shock, out of my body myself, and it was extremely painful, and it took a very, very long time. And after that happened, I lost all my bodily functions, and I passed out and I died. I just thought I passed out and fell asleep, but they said I died. And I didn't know what had happened. But I also have had to bring them out of my lungs and my heart. And at the same time, relax, even though I know what's going on. Relax my body, almost like meditation. And pull it out, and also relax at the same time. But I've gone through so much pain without medical treatment and without any doctors. Well, I'm being lied to my earbuds. It's the worst court case, most abusive court case in history, where I've had to numbers of times pull seizures out of my brain. They have some video of it. Pull seizures out of my heart, my lungs, private parts, and when they're like in my chest, I can push them down, and I'll talk about that. And I didn't know what I was doing or why I was doing it, but also I'm legally brain dead over the court case. Y'all did that to take away the money and cut alive, and they don't even know how I'm alive, just with the chip and the drugs that they give me to make my brain function. As sometimes I didn't even have the drugs. It was just the chip and the computer on the other end of the chip in my brain, and other parts of my body. But when it was in my chest and my lungs, I had to pull it down to my toes, to my feet, and it's real painful when it gets in your feet, the seizures. And then I had to pull it out to the tips of my toes, and that's extremely painful when it gets to the tips of your toes, especially when I was electrocuted. Or to your, when it's like here, sometimes to my fingers, through my arms and to my fingertips. And that's real painful too, but it's also painful when it goes to my mouth, because I wound up doing that, and that's really, really painful. But they want to talk about all that. The New York Times does. This is Vicki Johnson of the Courts versus the People. It's an ongoing court case where I'm still trapped in, and the community thinks it's really funny. Pretty much this whole community is being arrested, including this couple right here. They went, yes, because I'm still sitting on the bench. So largest fraud case in history, largest hate crime. People walk by here just to say, yes, she's still in her court case. Yes, she's still being abused. Yes, that's what it means. Yes, she still hasn't received medical treatment. Maybe there's a hope she will die. That's actually what it means. So largest hate crime, largest fraud case in history. It's changing laws in Congress. And they started this over freedom of speech and gathering everybody up because they wanted to steal the largest lawsuit in history and make up every reason in the book to try to steal it. But anyway, that couple right that just passed is going to be arrested. Police department just said for their yes, especially while I'm doing the video. Because they also pull up, everybody in the city pretty much has earbuds in their ears. White supremacists are behind this court case, and they'll talk about that. My family started this. Not my biological father, but I thought he was growing up. He knew he wasn't. He's actually on the birth certificate too. But that family, that side of the family is prejudiced. And the father of my first three, he's black. And my first three children. And when they were born, the family changed, and I stopped talking to him, which I really wasn't talking to him a whole lot, but I stopped talking to him because of it. What I didn't know is they were also covering up for an existing investigation where I was raped at my mom's house, and the police department told me to move out, and the boys that raped me at the time, the men that raped me, we were just out of high school and they were about the same age. They were friends and boyfriends of my sister. And my sister had them living at my mom's house. I had just graduated high school. The police department believes that they raped me during school and after high school. In my sleep, I was a virgin. In my sleep without me knowing. All the police department could tell me because of the family pulled in a lawyer and pulled in these KKK groups that gathered up a lawyer. Those boys were involved in a KKK through my sister and some others, and I didn't know that. I found out after I moved out, and the police department told me to move out, but they couldn't tell me about the rape. They just said, you don't know what's going on there, you need to move out. I thought, okay, I'll move out, but I didn't have any money. I made it last with really hardly not even eating. And not even hardly being able to use any utilities. And I made it. And I paid all my bills on time. And I actually had perfect credit, even though I really had nothing. And then whenever I went back to my mom's house after I moved out, I found a KKK robe in the closet. And so I knew what was possibly involved. And police department had told me when they told me to move out of her house, and I just moved out at the time when I found that robe, that to not ever go back there. You don't know what's going on there. Yeah, my mom taught in mostly a black school. So I was kind of furious and told her, even on phone conversations they pulled up. And I didn't know there was an investigation going or what happened, or even though I was raped by these boys involved in this group. And I didn't totally know what was going on. I only found one rope. So I didn't know totally what was going on, if it was my sister, if it was them, or what was going on. But it was in my niece's bedroom, and she was a baby. So I didn't know whose it was. And still to this day, I don't know exactly whose it was, because it was only one. But my sister was the one that was really living there. So I always thought it was his, but was it hers? Or his? Or one of the other guys? So I don't know. Police department has never told me that, but they'll tell you. But then when I met somebody at work, he was a black man. So I knew I was automatically going to have to keep kind of him away from the family. And then I had 3 kids with him. It ended up being domestic violence. Then they blamed it on him, and they basically said that's what I get and I deserve it and so forth. And that's really what they believed. I eventually couldn't get any help from anybody and moved off to New York to get away from the domestic violence and the fact that even the family sort of supported him abusing me. As in other words, that's what I get for being with a black man. And I didn't know my sister was kind of involved in all that too. And encouraging him and through others, through the clubs that she went to, because I don't go to any clubs or anything. And they'll talk more about it. Well, anyway, he was drugging me also, and I didn't know that. And that was kind of covered up, and the investigation was kept going and kept going and kept going because of the lawyers that they were using and these groups, these KKK groups. Well, later down the years, I was still never told about the rape, never told really what was going on. There's another New Yorker. And I'm in Tennessee. The state of New York, the state of New York is here. And I moved off to New York. That's why New York is here, in Tennessee. Well, I got with somebody in the state of New York when I moved up there. They said, "Why are you here?" They said, "We're going to open an investigation," because what I didn't know is they had already pulled up the rape and the investigation that Georgia had, and why wasn't this ever finished, and why wasn't she told, and why. New York was asking why. Okay, you had a reason to move. They didn't say that because they couldn't, because they were being threatened too. But they let me stay in Brooklyn. And they put me up in a shelter, and I didn't understand. And they started getting threats by the lawyer and by these groups. New York did. New York didn't like that very well. I met a guy. He had a uncle that was a lawyer. He had the lawyer check into what New York had. And that New York gathered up for those several months that I was in Brooklyn. And that was a Long Island lawyer in New York. And well, the guy that I was seeing at the time, he immediately knew that was going to be, also some stuff happened in New York. He immediately knew that there was going to be a huge lawsuit. And he wanted to help at the time. His family saw it more as we can get the cash out of this. And him being with her, we can get the cash, because his ex-wife was trying to sue him too. So they were looking for cash and looking to try to sue me and so forth and so forth. And I knew all that. So more secrets I was told that I didn't know. I just knew I was getting with a guy. And I was meeting somebody. So there was more secrets. And the police department still couldn't tell me, because everybody was still, getting lawyers. So I'm still in the dark. And then it started this court case. And it still kept me in the dark, with everybody still trying to get money. And still trying to get whatever. And I'm still stuck 10 years later on this bench. By the grace of God, literally, I am alive. I calmed my body down even when I was talking. And even as that couple walked by, and even as I didn't want to do this video, I actually calmed my heart down. And my chest stopped hurting. I can feel a little bit in my heart. But I actually have the ability to calm my heart down out of even a major heart attack and stroke. Even while I'm working and can't hardly breathe. I've had to learn to breathe into my esophagus. Like that. I've had to do that. Actually, I need to do that right now. But I've had to do that. I can't breathe good, because I need to do that. I've had to do that. I should have passed out. I can't pass out either, because the chip inside of me, I can't pass out or black out. I should have passed out, because I'm actually putting oxygen inside my esophagus. I'm not breathing through my nose. I've had to do that for days, even weeks. It's not through my nose, really. It's through my mouth, and I'm having to breathe in and out through my mouth, and that's impossible. But the court case damaged my lungs, and they think it may be due to a birth defect where I can do that. They don't really understand really how I can do that, but that's the ability to do that through this court case without going. That actually felt good. That's what I thought. Oh, that felt good. And to breathe like that, because it actually puts, my heart needed that, actually puts oxygen down where most people can't put it, into my lungs and my heart, straight into my esophagus. And most people can't do that. I've also had to live with very little oxygen in my brain. I don't have as much as I should. Woo! I felt that. I don't have as much as I should, even oxygen and blood in my brain, because of the court case and the damage done to my heart and my lungs. And they don't know how I've lived gathering what y'all have done with me, and done to me and with me through the court case. But anyway, the police department wants to talk about all this. None of this was ever a joke, and they want to talk about all this. And it's open to the public. It's Vicki Johnson in the courts versus the people. And this is a Tennessee, Georgia, New York, mostly court case. But the way the court case went, it's the largest fraud case in history. I can feel it on this side now, around my heart. It's the largest fraud case in history. And it's shutting down places and suing people all over the world. It's gotten so ridiculous. They did a family tree background history during this to say that they could pull up any money. The people did. The people threatened the federal government. This is a court case where everybody's threatened the federal government. Threatened Washington. Threatened Donald Trump. Threatened Obama when he was in election. The man I'm going to be going home with is Officer Perez. We are actually legally married, and I can't go home to him over fraud. And when I think about him or talk about him, it actually just now helps my heart, and I can feel that. The strange thing about this court case is, because of the abuse I've gone through and neglect of not being able to go to the hospital, not even having a police officer that can even be around me at times. Like right now, I could go into a heart attack because it's over here. Usually, like underneath. When it's over here, it's a stroke. When it's over here, it's a heart attack with me. And right now, I could very easily go into a heart attack, and I'll have to do with a honk. But the way my body is, even if I do go into a heart attack, the police department can't come, and the ambulance cannot come, unless I am totally conscious, and the court case says I can. The way the court case is, because it's changing laws in Congress, and I have to stay abused to change laws. But through the court case, they wanted to see if any money pulled up, because they pulled up some money in the court case, and my ex told me about that when I was in New York, and I didn't know this was going on. He said, there's family tree background checks that they can do on people, and you can find money in your family tree. I'm like, there's no money in my family tree. He said, you never know that. And he also said, do you think I look like a president? I said, no. I said, what about this one? I think it was a $20 bill. I said, well, you got a long nose like him. And so that's why he used it. But my family tree also goes back to George Washington. And they did that because they were able to do that because I also went back to Oprah Winfrey. And because I had a family that had money on my father's side. And I do not know my biological father. They're keeping him from me, but I will know him. That was another lie. This is a court case where it's one lie after another. One lie to cover up for another lie. One lie to cover up for another lie. My entire life, from the time before I was born, they decided to lie about my biological father. One lie after another. And then my entire life, it's another lie, another lie, another lie. Well, he only had one child, and he never knew he even had one child. And he's a heart surgeon. Go figure, considering what they did. And he couldn't help. And even he's never seen a medical case like this one. And I didn't know anything about him. And I was also a twin. There was another lie. My mom tried to abort me. There was another lie. The twin died. There was another lie. But unfortunately, I was born with a defective heart and defective lungs. They were premature of a heart the size of a 3 and 4-year-old. There's another lie, but we don't think my mom knew that because she's not a doctor. And but she knew that possibly there could be some brain damage, or possibly there could be something. And she never told me that, but I knew that she never really wanted me checked. Like I was a little bit slow in school, and she really didn't want me checked. She really didn't want like any special help, and I thought that was a little weird. She didn't want anybody like doing anything. Just keep her in regular classes, even if she fails. She didn't want anything. She didn't like me going to the doctor, so I think she kind of knew. But I also have small lungs, but the heart is the size of about a 3-year-old, they think. But the lungs are small too. I'm doing this to focus on my heart right now because I'm having a hard time because of that honk earlier. It was really loud, and that police department, I'm told, has already arrested the Jeep. But they have some things to say. Want to talk about what's going on, because right now they can't come. I'm going to get off here because they want me to stop talking so I can do that, because my heart needs that for a few minutes before I lay down. But they have some things to say and want to talk about this court case. It's open to the public. You can contact any police department worldwide. New York Times has some things to say. But I wouldn't go along with what they told you to say. This court case is also the largest cult in history, where the biggest goal in the court case is, if faith is keeping her alive, let's take it. Let's let things go in her earbuds day and night, in the middle of the night, screaming, make her life a living hell and make her give up her faith. And I have lived 10 years with earbuds in my ears and the stuff going on, and people say, even in New York, I couldn't figure out what was going on. I keep looking to see if there's a cop, and that finally parked in that parking lot. I like it whenever there's a cop, and that's when they're not going to probably have a cop pull up, but until I fall asleep. But screaming in my earbuds because the cops had to put screamings and was court ordered to put screaming and yelling in my earbuds. And sometimes extreme pain through the earbuds. Where it actually put extreme pain in my ears, or extreme pain in my body. I have chips implanted all over my body. Well, basically, and to cause pain for the court case. To deliberately cause pain. Because as they saw it, these groups, and gathered everybody in the community, I deserved pain for having my children. I deserve pain for being with their daddy years ago. I deserve pain for going to New York, and New York wanting to do something about this court case. I deserve pain. I deserve to suffer. They want to talk about this. I don't deserve to suffer, and I don't deserve to give up my faith. And the faith is just something you just can't get somebody to surrender. No matter how much torture, if they're going to have it, they're going to have it. You can't force them to give up faith. Unless you couldn't me. You either have it, even going through all this. I could even go to a heart attack right now. I can actually kind of feel it going down my body, so the seizure's kind of just now passing. I can feel it down here. I've gone through this for quite a few years, so I'm kind of used to it. But I can actually feel it leaving my body, and my chest, my heart. I can actually feel it leaving it. I actually have to kind of calm and relax my heart, even as I'm talking, even as the honking or the yelling and everything that was going on. I learned to do that because of what y'all did to me in my earbuds and the extreme pain. I had to focus on what my heart was doing or my chest was doing. And even though all this was going on, or extreme pain in my teeth, I was supposed to come out of this court case with no teeth. I was supposed to come out of this court case with no hair. I was given drugs to make me gain weight, stronger drugs than anorexics given. Stronger drugs than anorexics given to eat. I was supposed to come out of it extremely fat, not being able to talk. I've been given all sorts of drugs for drugs for all sorts of stuff throughout this court case. You name it. The doctors were just about court-ordered to give me drugs for things I did not have, like MS. Why would I be given drugs for MS? My mom died of MS, but I don't have MS. I was given cancer drugs. She died of cancer, but I don't have cancer. They've checked me. I have no cancer. I was given drugs for cerebral palsy. I don't have cerebral palsy. Never did. I was given drugs for all sorts of stuff. And then the community drugs my food if I go to a fast food place. They've put feces in them, in my food. They've put, the police department says it was some sort of bleach alternative in Panera Bread's food, and the police department was in there in a uniform. And I'm having a hard time talking right now because it's really, my body has to relax. And somehow what they gave me such diarrhea, like extreme diarrhea, when I walked away from there. And I'm just having a hard time talking because it's passing. My body's relaxing inside. That even on my pants, it faded my pants. So whatever was in there, it was a little bit of a bleach alternative. It actually faded my pants where the diarrhea went all over. It was really, really bad. And then I was drugged at other places. Uncooked food, bathrooms opened while I'm using the bathroom. All sorts of stuff went on. Rat feces, rat poisoning. My children were drugged with rat poisoning. My daughter, they shut her lungs off and they had to resuscitate her. They were concerned that she would not come to. I've gone through other extreme massive heart attack in New York, and I didn't know what happened. And weirdly enough, I didn't know what was going on. I put the kids to bed during a massive heart attack. I got up from the floor, and my chest was hurting real bad. I put the kids to bed, barely cleaned up a little bit. Their toys, put them to bed. 5 kids, put them to bed. I just had a baby, and laid down, and my heart did kind of stop, and I didn't know the paramedics had kind of came in. And then after that one time, they kind of said, "We don't want you to go in anymore if we do this again." So after that, things just kind of seemed to kind of change with the heart attacks. And they had to give me different drugs to keep me conscious through it and so forth. But I basically, through these 10 years, have had to survive without any drugs. And they don't know how I survived through all the heart attacks and strokes and the seizures in my brain and being legally brain dead, how I survived, or how I even can breathe. That's impossible, how I can breathe like that. But it has saved my life. So it's a little bit of, thank God my lungs were damaged at birth. Or thank God, that God worked everything out to where I could breathe like that to stay alive. But yeah, police department likes to say, well, when I was younger, I used to think about what would I do? I want to do something to change the world and help people, but nothing ever seemed good enough. And I wasn't the kind of person that didn't like making fun of anybody. Instead, I was made fun of, and my sister was largely part of that. She had fun with that one. And but anyway, they'll talk about that. But this turned into the largest hate crime, largest lawsuit that will ever be. They say that my family tree goes back to George Washington. I'll inherit some things from George Washington. They say a little bit it goes back to Albert Einstein. They did a DNA test with George Washington. And it possibly may go back to Queen Elizabeth. It may go back to a castle in Germany and a castle in France. And they have some things to say. Don't want to talk about what's going on with the court case. But I also may inherit some things in Spain. But yeah, as this court case progresses, the way the court case is, they also look into my family tree as things that are museums and so forth. The way the court case is, I get to inherit those things. So, yeah, it's really not funny. It really was and is and keeps getting bigger, a very big deal. And the thing that the news, and I've been hypnotized, what really mean the most to me than anybody are my children and the man that I want to go home with and that wants me, and all my friends, more than the money and the lawsuit and the this and the that, or Drew Barrymore supposed to live next door, you know, even that, or Oprah Winfrey, and the fact that Oprah Winfrey helped, and Donald Trump has had a hold of the court case, and he's even going to help with some companies that's going to help run everything I got, because I'm going home and I'm being a mama. I don't want to do all that other stuff. I just want to be a mom and run around with, National Geographic and play with them and play around. It's about time I play. But, yeah, they want to talk about this. It's open to the public. Bye.